Hello, hello, hello. Thought I'd throw the camera on for this one. How is everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Excited? Yo, Blackadder, how you doing? I was tempted to put the chat down the side, but I was like, I can't be bothered doing any messing around. I was going to play a bit of Path of Exile in the background. But I thought it's a bit annoying. Plus, knowing my luck, I'll play playing Path of Exile, I do a map, and I forget. I'm like, oh no, I've gone and forgot how to that there's a stream happening. What do you reckon? Should we run a map while we're waiting? Strange, I'm getting messages not sent on screen. Blooming gremlins. Should we run a map while we're waiting? Put it up here. We've got 16 minutes, haven't we? Let's run a map. Let's run a map on PoE. Yeah, I thought I'd throw a camera on. Right, so game captain needs to go behind that. Just 2 seconds. Windows full screen. Keep changes. Sound. We'll just have that background sound on. Right, so Windows capture needs to go in front of it. Like that. There we go. We can see the stream. We can see it. It's working. We have YouTube chat. We can log in. We'll have the starting screen at the back. So we're doing good. Everything working? Everything working? I think so. Let me just take my watch off. Keep catching it on my whatever it's called. Level 72 not bad. Yeah. Level 72 is not bad. Wait until you see just a bit, mate. Look. Cheeky. Cheeky. I think I've got like a cheeky 10,000 DPS or something. So we'll go to hideout. What we got? 15 minutes. 15 minutes is plenty of time, isn't it? Now your damage should be real. Hopefully. Hopefully. Like I say, I'm tempted to get a new camera. I've seen an Elgato one, a 4K one, but I don't know. Well, how much I have the camera on. I don't normally have the camera on. But I thought as soon as I am reacting, I'll have the camera on. I got some evasion shield, evasion there. I changed it around. It's quite, to be fair, I changed it quite a bit. Map 6. We'll go for that one. I'll go for 5. We'll go for 5. Map device. As I said, PoE 2 is missing good streamers. It still is. I'm not a good streamer. Right. We need to put you on. You on. I can't have that. So we need to put where is it? What is it from? Purity of Elements, Clarity. Yeah, there we go. And that should be On. Oh, right, where's clarity? Messed around with this, haven't I? Clarity needs to be down here. And then we do it. Clarity. Oh, Frostblink. Oh, we couldn't do it. Let's go for that. Right. Not enough life. Right, get you on. Put you back onto there. And then put clarity on. There we go. So we've got clarity and now it on. Sometimes unique maps too. Better than 90% of the ones I've watched and left earlier. You know, Curec sells maps and also Curec gives free maps. Yeah, I've seen, yeah. I was running some yesterday. We've also got this. If I can get it to work. It better not be. Have you seen my latest video? Where I messed up. To be fair, it might be a bit stupid actually having that, might it? Let's go straight into the arena. Getting a bit of lag on that there, and that. What are you expecting? You got your ass kicked by a merc. Yep, I did, yeah. And I got my ass kicked there. Drops more and better items when in range. So I changed to this because the guy said it was really good. Witherway totem, but it just doesn't seem to be. I'm being honest, I don't really rate it. Maybe it's just me that's not been able to use it properly. What? Why am I dying? Yeah, my health is low. It's because I've got that Purity of Elements on, but I'm probably going to take it off if I'm being honest. Probably going to be a bit. He is doing chaos damage though. That's a problem as well. That is a problem. This row hurts, man. I know. I feel like I've just wasted my time fighting this. It's crazy though, because look how quick I can go for all this. But I think, if I'm just being honest, I'm probably gonna remove this totem. Well, the totem's good, but I'm probably gonna remove it and put thingy on. Withering Step again. Withering Step's too good. Well, my DPS 8,520. What do I need to do here? Oh my god, why am I so squishy? I was doing tier 5s yesterday. Tier 6s yesterday. And now I'm getting my ass handed to me. Seven minutes. I mean, they're all chaos, aren't they? That's a problem. Need CI. Give me chaos inoculation. Why does the sound like that? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, possibly. You're possibly right, you know. I mean, the map's complete anyway. Don't need that belt. I'm not going to be using another belt, am I? 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Can't hear the gaming sounds. Yeah, I've turned the gaming sounds off. I've turned them off so I can. Yeah, I don't know how to get Withering Step. Withering Step on. You have to put quality on your gems to make a huge difference. Something you're not used to. Oh no, I can. Do I need to take them out? I would say you do quality. You do quality aim in PoE too. Jesus Christ! There you go. They go fast out there. Wow, they go fast. Four minutes. 4 minutes. Yeah, 1 equals 1%. That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's a lot better than it's a lot better for PoE2 on that one, isn't it? Yeah, I think. Is Wither spelled with TH? No. Withering Step. I think I might have Withering Step on, you know, rather than actual Wither. My dot damage is good if you look at it. I'm doing quite a lot of chaos damage. But where's Despair? Cross blink. Chance to poison. Yeah, I think I probably need despair on it. Gonna make a brew quickly. Yeah, we've got we got 2 minutes left. 2.5 minutes. I wonder why I'm getting like a lot of lag. What I'll do is I will quickly switch to... Yo, Sonic, how are you doing? I'll quickly switch to wherever it is. The Twitch. Oh, they're streaming at 1440p. Look at these two. Look at these guys here. So window capture 3 will be the right one. There we go. So that'll remove. There we go. Boom. Where are we positioning myself? Where am I going to cause minimal upset? Where would I cause minimum upset? What do you reckon? Make me really small? Put me up here? Or put me in this top left-hand corner here? Oh, I don't know. This is the hard part. Or just get rid of me altogether. That might be a good shout. What do we reckon? Yeah, top corner. What, top left? Up here? Or top right? Like top right? Maybe? 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Right, can everyone hear it? Okay. Remember, if you're not watching on Twitch, move to Twitch, because you will get drops. Okay? 13 seconds. I'm hyped. I'm hyped. Let's see what it's doing. Are we ready?
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers from Grinding Gear Games, and welcome to GGG Live. Today we're going to show you an exclusive reveal of what's coming next for Path of Exile 2. Twitch drops are enabled on today's live stream, so you'll be able to claim your Sun Priest's Incineration rare finisher effect by following the instructions below. Now with that out of the way, let's get started. It's time to give you a teaser of what's coming in Path of Exile 2, the Third Edict.
Yes. Turn up sound.
Karui! I have called you here to save our people. To save our way. Over the ages, we have known pain like no other. But we endured. And we became mighty. Now, outsiders dishonor our shores. And we have stood by, doing nothing. Hear my voice, ancestors. Show us your strength. Show us the true way.
Oh. Isn't that a Sorry Highland or something?
Understand.
That looked like a dagger then. Daggers! Daggers! Wow. 4. Oh. Rise of the... Oh, that's where it cracks, isn't it, across the floor? Very good. Very good. You see the monk with the two daggers? Oh.
Now, as you can see, there's a lot going on, and we have a lot to reveal today. We'll start by going over Act 4, the next chapter in the Path of Exile 2 storyline. But that's not all. There's also 3 new interlude acts to get you to endgame, which means we're removing cruel difficulty too.
Child has been buffed.
After that, we'll be going through the massive changes to characters. I'm super excited to show you how I've overhauled the entire support gem system, added new skills, and yes, there are buffs. Next, we'll go over the Rise of the Abyssal, this season's exclusive league mechanic, and talk about the new rewards, crafting systems, areas, and bosses that it adds. After that, it's on to changes we're making to the endgame. Then it's time to talk about items, crafting, and oh yeah, trade. That's going to be a big one. We'll then go over our new supporter packs and finish up with a live Q&A session.
Massive.
Ziggy D will ask Path of Exile 2's game directors, myself and Mark, your questions from Twitch chat. And after that, at 4 PM Pacific, patch notes. They're not quite complete, but they should give you some nice details to chew on.
4 PM Pacific, what's that?
We've got a lot to cover today, but first, another announcement. When the Third Edict launches on the 29th, we'll be having a free weekend for Path of Exile 2.
Oh!
That's right, Path of Exile 2 will be free for the first time without requiring an early access key. The free weekend will end on September the 1st, so you'll have plenty of time to give the game a try. Alright, let's get started with Act 4.
Midnight patch notes.
The story continues from the end of Act 3. Doryani has agreed to help you find an ancient weapon that can be used against corruption, the instrument of the Third Edict. The weapon was broken in ages past, but he believes that the pieces may be found in the Karui archipelago, the home of the Karui tribes. You will need to journey to King's March, hire a ship, and set sail. When you open the map, you can choose to sail anywhere you like. Act 4 is completely non-linear, and you can visit the islands in any order you choose.
Nice.
Will you visit the pristine beaches of Whakapanu Island?
Of what?
The Karui whisper of a curse that afflicts all who travel there. Perhaps it's related to the weapon you seek. Or maybe you will visit the volcanic shores of the Isle of Kin. The Kin have been more restless recently, mining for sulfite and driven by some dark force.
That fire looks good.
Perhaps you will choose to consult with one of the local Karui tribes. Their ancient wisdom could hold clues to finding the Third Edict. No matter where you choose to go, you will fight dangerous beasts, find fabulous treasures, and battle incredible bosses.
A challenger! Come,
That's a cool boss.
your soul!
There are 8 islands to discover, each teeming with its own flora and fauna. Act 4 contains over 100 new monster types, 16 new areas, 12 new bosses, and plenty of other interesting encounters. There's
Boobs.
a huge amount to show, but we're not going to spoil too much here. We want to give you a chance to discover it all for yourself. What happens after Act 4? Well, until now you had to repeat the entire campaign again before you could face the endgame. But after adding Act 4, the game is far too long to make you do that. We needed something else to do in between the end of Act 4 and the endgame. So what else could we do? Add 3 new mini-acts, of course.
Boom, there we go.
And we're calling them the Interludes. The Interludes are a set of 3 temporary side stories that will be included in the game until Act 5 is released, that will take you to level 65 where the endgame can begin. The first interlude sends you on a journey back to Ogham. Renly has been leading the efforts to rebuild Ogham Village after the defeat of Count Geonor. but there's a new danger afoot. The nearby town of Holton is surrounded by an impenetrable darkness.
That was well
and
cool.
each night, their corrupted townfolk emerge to raid the local farmlands. You'll discover new areas.
That's a great fix running the
And
campaign
new
twice, yeah.
bosses.
100%.
You'll need to find your way through the darkness, uncover the source of corruption,
Soon you will serve our master.
and defeat it.
Yes, I shall dance with that cool.
That's cool.
And that's just the first interlude. The second interlude will have you return to the Vasteri Desert, where Asala has been given a sacred duty. When the skies align, the gifting of water requires a chosen Sekima to meet with the Selkari, guardians of the sacred water, but they're nowhere to be found. You will need to track down the Selkari, find those responsible for disrupting the gifting, fight even more new bosses, discover the secrets of the ancient ritual, discover new locations, and ultimately help Asala carry out her sacred duty.
They're showing the warrior a lot,
Now
aren't
for Interlude 3. As Royal Thaumaturge of the Val, Doyani had plans within plans to save his people from the cataclysm perpetuated by Atzeri's lust for power. One such plan involved sealing a group of willing Val deep in a great mountain vault near the home of the Asmeri, deep enough to survive the cataclysm. Even though thousands of years have passed, he believes that their descendants may still live, and may be key to defeating the beast. The journey up the mountain will be dangerous. New foes stand in your way. And the further up the mountain you venture, the colder it will become. Explore caves of ice and enter the vault itself. Who can say what you will find within? The interludes are 6 to 7 areas each and generally include 4 boss fights as well.
Oh.
When you put that together with Act 4, that adds up to 35 new areas in the campaign and 24 new bosses.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
It's worth making clear that the interludes are temporary. When Act 5 and 6 are added, the interludes will be going away.
Watch interludes be better
These
than
are side
Act 5.
stories after all. But don't worry, the bosses and areas that make up the interlude are all part of the endgame. We're not just going to throw them away. And with that, we don't need cruel difficulty anymore. We do know that it was a pretty big chore to have to play through the campaign multiple times on each character.
Yeah,
And
it's
this was a
sucked.
huge reason that the campaign could feel like a bit of a slog when playing through again. But we do also have another new feature to address that particular concern as well.
You don't have to play it.
So let's talk about
Oh, sprinting.
sprinting. In 030, when you hold down the dodge roll button, your character will go into a sprint after they finish the roll. This is available on all character classes, and there's no limitation on how long you can sprint for. The primary purpose of this feature is to make navigating areas faster when out of combat. Because of that, if you do take a hit while sprinting, you'll fall to the ground.
And get absolutely
The
annihilated.
best idea is to use a skill when you see monsters. That'll break you out of the sprint so you can engage with no danger. If you do need to run away from monsters, just hold spacebar. You won't be vulnerable during the roll, and you're faster while sprinting than basically any monster in the game, allowing you to retreat from combat. Sprint is a pretty
that's good,
significant
yeah.
change to PoE 2's gameplay. What I like most about it is that we can accelerate the pace of the game for those who want that, without having to compromise on PoE 2's more visceral combat systems. Okay, so that's the new extensions to the campaign, but there's a whole giant league to play through as well. I'll leave that to Mark to talk about later. And that's because what I want to talk about now is the new stuff for your characters. And probably one of the biggest new systems here is with the support gems. Now, support gems are one of the most interesting elements to creating a build. They're what enables so many interesting mechanics and different ways to play. But PoE 2's support gem system has just never been quite right. One of the major issues is the limitation of only having one support gem of each type on your character. We didn't want builds to just become using the same 5 most powerful supports in every skill. The
Big.
problem with this design, though, is that it's actually working against using multiple skills in your build. If you can only use each support gem on one skill, it means that you're encouraged to go all in on that one ability. And we want to encourage you to combo your abilities, something needed to change. So with that in mind, we've removed the restriction of having one of each support gem per character. You can now use as many copies as you like.
That's what we want. That's good.
This should drastically increase the amount of possible builds and increase the amount of skill diversity.
That's huge, is that? That's huge.
There are a lot of potential builds that suffered from the previous restriction. For example, a poison build previously couldn't add poison to more than one skill. They couldn't use stacking poison on more than one skill either. This severely limited your ability to combo with anything outside of the specifically designed poison archetype, but now you can.
Oh, Poison,
Many
Deadeye.
utility skills previously couldn't scale to endgame because the supports that would make them scale were more useful to use in other skills. You would never speed up killing Palm with martial tempo when you would much rather use it on your primary skill instead. There are more examples like this all over the place. In addition to that though, we thought there wasn't enough feeling of progression in the supports as you went through the game.
Oh, look at these.
There were only 3 tiers of supports, and many of the most important ones were given out at tier 1. Also, there were no strict upgrades, meaning that upgrading supports when you ran out of
Alignment
sockets
1.
required quite a lot of thinking. In order to solve these issues, we now also have multiple levels of many supports as you go through the game. For example, double barrel support gives you an extra bolt, but at the cost of 30% less reload speed. At tier 2, the penalty gets lowered to 20%. But then at tier 3, the support gem gets something new.
Oh, that's
It now
good.
reloads automatically when you heavy stun an enemy.
That's very good.
In some cases, the highest tiers might work a little differently, and you'll have to decide if you like the upgrade or not, depending on your build. For example, rapid casting. The first couple of levels gives 15, then 20% increased cast speed. But then at tier 3, it changes to a new approach. For each different spell you cast in the last 8 seconds, you get 10% increased cast speed, which could be a pretty big bonus if you use a lot of different spells. So that's pretty good for upgrades through the campaign, but we wanted to add a little more spice to the endgame for supports too. And that's where our new system, lineage supports, comes in. You can think of these like unique items, but for supports. There are supports that are only available at endgame, but they're much more powerful. Like Ratha's Assault. It's an upgraded version of Double Barrel that reloads your skill as you dodge roll, as well as increasing the number of bolts it can hold. But it does mean that it's the only way you can reload the skill now. Now, unlike regular supports, you can't find these through the uncut support gem. Just like unique items, many of these can be found from specific bosses. And there's a ton in the regular drop pool too.
Nice, nice.
Some of them are fairly rare, others fairly common. Some of them are build defining,
There we go.
others are just straight up power upgrades. All in all, there's around 40 lineage supports being added throughout the endgame. So there's a lot of power to find out there. Now, the new support gems are certainly going to open up a lot of builds, but of course we have a huge range of improvements to individual character classes as well. As well as adding new skills, we had a big focus on buffing existing skills so that they can scale well into the endgame. There's a huge amount to cover here, so we're not going to discuss everything. We're just going to quick fire through some of the coolest changes.
Nope.
We wanted to make cold a more useful element on the Ranger, so we've expanded the cold tools available. As well as increasing its range, Escape Shot now creates fragments of ice whenever it hits the ground.
Oh,
These
nice.
fragments explode after a short time, making the skill better for killing groups of enemies. But not only that, we added an ice fragment support that creates more of them when killing frozen enemies.
Nice.
And a new buff skill called Ice Tipped Arrows that allows all your arrows to create ice fragments. This already gives clear to rangers wanting to use ice, but to take further advantage of the ice fragments, Freezing Salvo has been upgraded to shoot additional cold arrows towards every fragment. giving you a new class
I like
ability.
free skills as well.
We've also modified Snipe to consume frozen from enemies, dealing a huge amount more damage, giving you a nice ice single target option. And something you might notice about this is that the bonus is a lot higher against bosses. This is actually a change you'll see throughout the entire game. Since it's a lot harder to freeze a boss, you should get a bigger reward for it. Another theme you'll see throughout the game is making movement feel better. Toxic Growth is a skill that was pretty cool, but a bit annoying to use with the jump that it had. Now Toxic Growth is a range skill, so you can spam it more easily.
Ah, there we go. Yeah, that's good.
And we've also added a new poison skill while we were at it, called Toxic Domain. It creates a small area around you that makes all your attacks create toxic growth pustules, but attached to monsters. Another skill that was annoying to use was Electrocuting Arrow. It's now just a regular arrow, making it easier to use.
Yeah, again, there we go. That's
But it
better.
also means you can support it with projectile supports. And it now also has area of effect, making it a tool for more than just single target, and allowing it to scale into the endgame. We also added a new spirit reservation called Mirage Archer. This is a meta skill that allows you to create shadowy clones of yourself.
That is
and
cool.
Use a skill of your choice. Of course, one of the other big problems the Ranger had was survivability.
Yeah, that's
Evasion
cool.
was
That.
the weakest of the three defenses, and we wanted to change that. Currently, evasion doesn't evade all types of hits in the game, so you're still vulnerable to things like slams or unblockable attacks. To make evasion characters more tanky, we're adding a new mechanic called Deflect. Unlike evasion, Deflect works on everything, and if you successfully deflect a hit, you take 40% less damage.
Alright.
Items can now give you a mod that gives you some amount of deflection based on your evasion.
So that's like spell suppression then, isn't it?
And there's a
In
bunch of it
PoE 1.
available on the passive tree too. Deflection is rolled in addition to evasion, so this is an upgrade for regular hits too. And unlike evasion, there's no maximum chance. You can reach 100% deflect against all hits if you spec into it enough. Of course, this is a buff that helps all dex characters, so the mercenary and the monk, but especially the huntress, are seeing big defense boosts from this as well.
Huntress is already powerful as it is.
Speaking of defensive mechanics, let's talk about block and parry. Now, one of the big concerns on the release of the huntress was parry feeling unreliable. One of the big reasons for this is there's a lot of hits that are not blockable, and thus not parryable either. So a huge balance change we're making is that now everything is blockable, except for specifically unblockable red flash skills that bosses use.
Oh, nice.
This makes parry much more reliable. And not only that, but to make block and parry nicer to use, you now also move faster than before while using these abilities.
Ah.
This is a massive buff to passive block as well. So to counter that, we did have to lower the max passive block a bit, but overall you should feel much safer. Fire skills on the warrior were not really cutting the mustard, so we decided we needed to upgrade a bunch of them, but also add some more as well. Let's start with a buff. Volcanic fissure now branches into multiple fissures, giving it much more clearing potential.
What kind of fish are sneaking? We need that.
We've also added a new skill called Forge Hammer. This skill throws a molten hammer that does a slam at a distance. You can recall the hammer back by using the skill again if you like, but the cooler thing to do is to use a war cry near it. Using a war cry makes the hammer explode, making a
Whoa.
bunch of volcanic fissures around.
That is sick.
Volcanic fissures re-trigger when you slam them, so it's a great skill to make a flaming arena to fight a boss.
I love a fire skill.
We also buffed Perfect Strike to have a much larger area of effect, and changed Molten Blast to not always force you to move forward. Trust me, it feels a lot better to use now. The skill now has massively boosted chance to ignite monsters as well. And you're going to want to ignite monsters due to a new glory skill called Ancestral Cry. Ancestral Cry charges up with glory by igniting monsters, invoking King Kaum's favor. After you do,
100% physical
use
damage
it
to
to
fire.
channel Kaum's ancestral power. Every attack will be ancestrally boosted with fire. Your very steps will explode, triggering volcanic fissures, and molten balls will erupt from your attacks.
That is sick.
Warrior shield skills were another area we wanted to improve. Now that we've got sprint, we actually don't need to have a cooldown on shield charge anymore. And
Some
now
of these
also
to
does more
skill,
damage
yeah,
the further
exactly,
away
yeah.
you are when you use it.
Get cast on, that's what you need. Cast on freeze.
Shield wall got significantly upgraded AoE. Also, you can shield charge right through it to trigger all the walls. We also added a new shield war cry. Fortifying Cry gives you a defensive buff, but it also builds up charge on your shield that empowers your other shield skills.
Oh, that's cool.
And Magma Barrier now doesn't require timing in order to use. Just wait for your shield to charge up and block. Seismic Cry now stuns enemies that are primed for stun.
Some
And
big
we changed
changes,
the
isn't
Sunder
there?
interaction with Armor Break. It now also gives a Sundered Armor debuff that makes enemies take 40% extra physical damage. Great for bosses. Ancestral Warrior Totem has undergone some pretty significant changes too. We wanted the skill to feel more like using an ultimate. That summoning an ancestor to fight for you was a big deal. So we've changed this totem to require 3 endurance charges to summon, and massively buffed its damage. It also now scales your weapon damage too. Since there's no limit anymore, if you build around generating endurance charges, you can summon an entire forest of totems. In order to make that easier, we added some new sources of endurance charges.
30%
There's now a support
endurance
to make Perfect
charges.
Strike generate charges, and a support for generating endurance charges from heavy stuns as well.
Ah.
Speaking of totems, we wanted to upgrade the Warbringer. Among the other changes we've made to this class, Answered Call now gives an extra totem, and the spirits have just been generally buffed in many ways. Use it with your limitless ancestral warrior forest to make an army of Karui that would make Tukahama proud. We've also merged the Great Wolf Howl and Warcaller's Bellow support, so that you can get all the benefits with one point. And Encased in Jade no longer removes the Jade when getting hit, making it a much better defense.
They've thought about this a lot, haven't
Next
they?
up, let's talk about accuracy. Accuracy was always intended to be something that warriors didn't need to care about very much so long as they're in close combat. But unfortunately, that's not currently the case. This was particularly annoying with skills like Bone Shatter, which you certainly don't want to mess with. So we significantly buffed your chance to hit at close ranges when you don't have much accuracy. Warriors shouldn't require any accuracy investment in order to hit with close range attacks now.
They had to due to how their last patch was yeah.
We also wanted to improve armor. Now one of the main
there we
weaknesses
go.
of armor is the inability to defend against elemental damage. In order to mitigate this, we're adding a lot more of the stat that allows your armor to defend against elemental damage. It's now available on items and in a lot more places on the passive tree.
There we go.
One of the most important improvements we've made in 030 is to declunk the action and flow of shooting crossbows. You can now reload crossbows without any movement penalty. But not only that, all skills that can be used while moving now slow you for a shorter amount of time. This change benefits everyone, not just crossbow skills.
Yeah, that's
With both
good.
of these changes put together, the run and gun playstyle feels much better. It's
That's
hard
very
to
good.
explain how important this change is for the feel of the class. The Mercenary is also a good chance to talk about how we're rebalancing to make comboing skills much better. Take Shock, for example. It buffs damage and lasts 4 seconds right now, but that isn't really giving you enough time to take advantage of it. If you're going to add a lightning skill into a build that otherwise wouldn't use one, we need to make mechanics like this much better. So we've increased shock duration on monsters to last 8 seconds. And skills like Plasma Blast, which are intended to be good at shocking enemies, now increase the damage bonus by a lot more. You'll find changes like this all around the game. Chill now lasts 8 seconds, giving you more of a reason to weave in cold damage. Freezing skills are better at freezing. Burning skills need to cause burns that last longer. But making skills like Permafrost Bolts and Incendiary Shot double down on how they're supposed to be used, it makes using them in your build alongside other skills much more likely. We're also making sure to buff specific combos too. The freeze explosions from frag rounds now chain to nearby enemies.
Oh, that's cool.
And using high velocity rounds with armor break will now fragment the opponent's armor. This causes monsters to take a portion of high velocity rounds damage with every subsequent hit, even tiny pellets. So that means following it with a shotgun blast is way more effective. Now there's a lot more buffs to crossbow skills, but for now I'm just going to talk about the new one we added, the Mortar Cannon. This one lets you socket any grenade skill, and using it will summon a cannon which loads and then fires the grenade you choose.
Oh, that's awesome.
Another issue on the Mercenary were banners. They were just not very good, so we're doing a big upgrade to them. They now last longer, don't disappear when moving out of them, and we removed the Valor mechanic. They now just give a much more consistent and stronger buff, and you can use them when you get enough glory.
That's good for party play.
On which, one of the main focuses was making various minion types more useful to use together. Melee minions in particular were just not that great compared to ranged ones. As a starting point, we just straight up removed the requirement for minions to have accuracy. Attack minions now always hit, which makes them way better.
Ah, there we go.
Brutes got some good numeric buffs, but we also added a new command skill where they do a war cry that intimidates enemies and detonates any frozen monsters and allies around you in a big cold explosion.
Oh, which is gonna be good.
We've also changed the Frost Mage's command skill to an ability that adds ice armor to your other minions, adding a layer of defense. And it makes them deal cold damage back to the attacker as well. The ice armor also makes the minion count as frozen, so the Brute's Warcry can detonate them too.
Yeah, minions could be overpowered, yeah.
Unearth was changed to work on corpses of your dead skeletons, allowing you to summon the minions more easily in boss fights. And they also got a new jump ability, allowing them to get into combat faster. Ray's Spectre was also feeling pretty weak for the spirit cost they have. To be honest, we were a little afraid of these when we first balanced them. We've both decreased the spirit cost for a large range of monsters, and have significantly increased Spectre damage too. They should feel a lot more impactful. There's also a lot of new spellcaster weapons with newer cult skills, but I'll just talk about one of them that I thought was particularly cool. The Reaping Staff is actually a wicked scythe that gives you a new ability called Reap. When an enemy is low in life, you can dash forward and rake enemies with the scythe to cull them instantly, healing you. It can also inflict...
Oh, that'd be
weakness
good
on enemies too.
with Blood Mage.
Now, there's a lot of balance changes in the Witch's Ascendancy classes, but I'll just talk about 2 of them for now. On the Blood Mage, you were previously required to spend your first points on Sangomancy, which really was supposed to be the downside for being able to access the powerful abilities on the rest of the class. In order to make picking the Blood Mage a better early option, we've made Sangomancy free, unlocking the power of the rest of the class immediately.
Ah,
On the Infernalist, the Demon form wasn't something people were really using because you lost your weapon stats while transformed. Well, you no longer do, so it's a much better option now. On the monk, the wind skills needed a big upgrade for sure.
Yeah, they did, 100%.
Staggering Palm can now stack up its duration if you use the skill multiple times in a row, so you can keep the effect of all your skills throwing up wind much more easily. Wind Blast had the purpose of building up to dazing an enemy, but dazing just wasn't worth all that effort. Now it just dazes on hit, meaning a single Wind Blast will make all your skills stun enemies more easily.
Oh, that's good.
Following up with Vaulting Impact on a dazed enemy previously did a bunch of stun. Now it allows you to break your enemy's stance. When their stance is broken, following up with a fast attack will do way more damage. A cool build that certain people always enjoyed in PoE 1 was hand-to-hand combat, but until now we just didn't have a real way to make it viable. Well, that
Hollow
changes
Palm.
now. The monk, as a true martial artist, now has the ability to learn the Hollow Palm technique, a keystone that lets you use all quarterstaff skills while unarmed.
Oh my god, you can have
All
Eye
some
Strike
attacks
with
now
just
have a
bare
special
hands.
unarmed version, and you get further bonuses to all your attacks from stacking Energy Shield and Evasion on your character.
Oh my god, that looks sick. That is sick.
A new keystone we also added to the
Look at the
section of
cake!
tree is
Look at the
Walker of
cake!
the Wilds. This changes Mana Leech to work with elemental damage instead of physical,
Oh,
which is pretty useful for all those elemental attacks the monk has, but it works well for the ranger.
that looks amazing. Look, just look at
One of
that.
the least
Just
used
look at that.
ascendancy class in the game is the Acolyte of Chayula, so we knew we needed to make some changes here. One of the key things we had to do was make the chaos damage that the Acolyte can do much more useful. So we've added a new skill allowing chaos damage to ignite, shock, chill, and freeze.
Oh my god.
Embracing the elemental prowess of the monk in a truly chaotic fashion. In addition, he can make all of his chaos damage leech,
Oh my god.
and we've buffed Into the Breach and Embrace the Darkness by moving the effects of the 4-point nodes into the base skills. He also gains a new notable, Grasp of the Void, which leaves void illusions behind you as you dodge roll. If they're killed, they do massive explosions of darkness, dealing damage to everything in sight.
We could be looking at completely overpowered league.
Let's talk
Honestly.
about Sorceress skills.
That
One of the
monk
things we want to
hand-to-hand.
improve on the Sorc is the ability to use multiple elements together more effectively. Now, this might seem small, but one of the things pushing you towards using a single element is debuffs like Elemental Curses, which lower resistances of a single element. In order to fix that, we're making quite a lot of game-wide changes to these kinds of mechanics to broaden what they apply to. So for example, there's no longer 3 curses for fire, ice, and lightning. Instead, there's just a single curse that buffs all 3 at the same time.
Oh my god.
And things like Frostbomb, which gave you cold exposure, now give elemental exposure. You can use it to buff any of your other skills.
Major
We also wanted to make
increases.
switching between different weapon sets smoother, so you can use different elemental staves more effectively. To do that, we've removed the weapon switch time, and now happens instantly. This applies game-wide too. But we
That's
didn't just
big.
wanna stop
That's
there.
big.
We wanted to add some specific mechanics that work between different elements, and that's where elemental infusions come in. Certain skills can now drop elemental infusions. For example, when a frostbomb explodes, it leaves behind a cold infusion on the ground. After picking it up, you can spend it on one of any number of different skills to transform how they work. Spark will create a nova of cold infused projectiles.
Oh my god.
Ice Nova will leave a chilled area on the ground. And we also added a new low-level skill that fires ice shards. Use it with cold infusion though, and the ice shards will explode. Orb of Storms now generates lightning infusions when you cast enough spells near it. And that's all spells, by the way, not just lightning. Once you have one, you could cast a lightning flame wall, which adds both fire and lightning damage to all the projectiles that pass through it. Or power up Ember Fusillade with lightning, which will generate arcs to nearby enemies as each fireball hits. Or maybe go lightning on lightning with arc. This skill is now a projectile, and by infusing it, you can go full Palpatine. Get fire
Palpatine.
infusions by blowing up monsters with living bomb. Then use them with Comet to summon a giant fire meteor from the sky.
Oh, that is sick.
Or use it with Firestorm, which transforms it from a small area into a much bigger one. Firestorm is unique in that it can be infused by multiple different elements at the same time. Add an ice infusion to rain down ice at the same time as the fire. And add lightning to add deadly strikes from the heavens into the mix.
Sorceress looks
Or use it with
mean.
all 3 to generate a storm that is truly apocalyptic.
Look at that.
Cold Snap has been simply turned into Snap. Previously, you could use it to shatter ice. but now it works to detonate all of the different elemental ailments and makes them leave behind infusions.
Oh, yes.
And just like how you could previously use it on Frostbolt, you can now also use it on Orb of Storms and Solar Orb to detonate those as well, which means you can create many infusions at once.
Oh, this.
We also have a Spirit Reservation skill and a support gem to help generate them too.
Collected from 100% further
On the
away.
passive tree, we've added quite a few new keystones to the Sorceress section. Here are a couple of examples. The Black Flame Covenant keystone converts your fire spells to chaos and causes your ignites to deal chaos damage. Your fire spells and ignites will also turn purple.
That's cool. Purple
the
fire.
Ritual Cadence keystone causes your invocation skills to trigger more times, but makes them trigger periodically over a longer duration instead of one. Great for those auto bomber builds. Now, in addition to skill changes, we've added a lot more options for the passive tree for each class. Overall, there are more than 100 new notables on the tree, usually around 20 per class, along with smaller clusters as well. Check out the old version, and here's the new version. It's a lot more dense, and there's more interesting nodes than before. Now, we probably can't go through too many of these in the livestream, so I'll just show you one from each class's area of the tree.
Go on
We
then, let's
try
have
to
a
be a
look.
lot more thematic with the new nodes. So for example, the Molten One's Gift. It lets the benefit of Armor Break apply to your fire damage. Or how about Last Stand, which gives you lots of stats as your situation becomes more and more desperate.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
A lot of these have themes aligning with Ascendancy classes. Like for the Gemling Legionnaire, for example. You have crystallized immunities, which makes you immune to different status ailments, depending on which support gem color you have socketed the most.
Oh, that's cool.
Another Ascendancy class aligned notable is Sanguimatic Rituals. It allows arcane surges to generate life instead of mana, unlocking that support gem to be used with the Blood Mage Ascendancy. In the Sork area, you'll find these Archon nodes that allow you to convert all of your elemental damage to a specific element. You
Ah,
become a Lightning Archon when you spend enough mana, after which all your skills will be converted to lightning, and you will do extra lightning damage as well. We have ones for cold and fire too, with different trees.
that's amazing, isn't it?
Here's another cool one. Elemental Practitioner gives crit bonuses if you've triggered a skill recently, while also making crits generate more energy for triggers. Or maybe you'd like the Great Boar. It gives you a reason to stack dexterity to make you tougher, giving a bonus to life and stun threshold. Or the Cunning Fox. It straight up gives you 5% quality to all your gems. Now, another major change is attribute requirements. We felt like players probably had a few too many nodes and attributes and not enough in
Look
interesting
at the
passives.
difference.
So we lowered attribute requirements by 25% across the
huge.
board.
That's huge.
That means you'll have more points to spend on interesting notables rather than just needing to allocate more strength, dex, and int. Now, there are way more changes than just these. These are just some of the cooler ones we wanted to show off, but I'd say that's just about enough for now. We're not even half done yet. So I think it's time that we talk about the League, the rise of the Abyssal.
No, this is
And to
what
do
we're
that,
here
I'd like to
for.
hand things over to Mark.
I did struggle with attributes, I must
As you
admit.
just
Yeah,
saw,
same,
even though there are
100%.
major changes to the campaign for this update, we want to make sure that every time you come back for an expansion, each area feels different with something extra going on.
Okay.
It is really important to make sure your experience when returning between expansions is fresh and filled with new content.
I just want
And
the
the
hollow
way we
palm,
did this
hollow
was
palm
through
technique with
leagues.
Eye Strike.
Every expansion we make has a league, which not only has a fresh economy, but also has new content exclusively available in that league. So, let's delve into the details of what Path of Exile 2's first official league is bringing to the table. The Abyssal are a race that have mastery of forbidden magics and necromancy. They were thought to be extinct, but have merely been biding their time underground. You first encounter signs of the Abyssal in Clairfell, where you discover that during the night, weaker members of the Undead Legion have been attacking the encampment. The townsfolk require your help to investigate where the monsters are coming from and put a stop to their attacks.
Out there, ancient creatures, lurking beneath the surface.
As you proceed through Rayclast, you'll find fissures in the earth connected to larger pits. The monsters normally inhabiting the area are being affected by it, harmed by it even, having their souls eaten to strengthen the Abyssal underground. As you defeat the monsters, the fissure closes and Abyssal emerge, angered by you killing their food. Once all those fissures have been sealed, the pit activates, and more Abyssal pour out. This is where the larger and more dangerous monsters reveal themselves, as hordes of Abyssal spew out from the pit to take your soul. If you kill a magic pack, then magic abyssal arise. If you kill a rare, then a rare monster will emerge from the pit, having absorbed some or all of its modifiers for itself. This means the monsters emerging will generally be more difficult and more rewarding, as each modifier gives better rewards.
That's cool.
If you are able to kill them all, the pit will seal shut. As each pit is closed,
Yeah, I agree.
it reveals a potential reward. Abyssal troves will rise up out of the pits, allowing you to get some epic loot. Areas often contain many pits, with many fissures, and the amount goes up as you progress through the game, getting more intense. It doesn't stop there. When monster mods are absorbed, they have a chance to become infused with the dark necromancy, transforming them into abyssal modifiers. For example, you defeat this monster with the Mana Siphoner modifier. Their soul is eaten by the pit, and a rare monster emerges. The Mana Siphoner modifier has transformed into Soul Siphoner, and is now amplified in danger and reward.
Yeah, that's like PoE1, that, innit?
Abyssal pits also interact with other monsters and mechanics. If you defeat a rogue exile that's near one, it'll be revived as a Lichborn that has multiple abyssal modifiers. Lichborn exiles even have their own unique jewel they can drop, if you are lucky enough to encounter and kill them.
Oh. Having said
If
that,
an
it does
abyss
look like the
spawns near a
mechanic
boss,
is actually
killing
unavoidable.
it will summon a
Whereas
gigantic
PoE1 you can choose
Giga
not
larvae
to initiate
creature.
them. Yeah.
Monsters imprisoned in essences near abyssal pits are affected by the abyss too. They will come with an additional new essence item that can be used to craft your items. So, that's your bread and butter of the Abyssal League. Kill surface-dwelling monsters, kill the emerging abyssal, close the fissures, overcome pit encounters, and reap the rewards. There's a lot more to this league, however. As you complete abysses, you can find ancient pieces of bone, preserved from the remains of fallen Lichborn. These are one of the many rewards for your mission to seal the pits. You can use this on a rare item to imbue it with abyssal magic, adding a special hidden modifier to your item. But how do you reveal it? In Act 2 of the campaign, you'll encounter a new area. This area is overrun by the abyssal and the lost. After clearing through this area, you'll find the Well of Souls, a giant cavity with a massive vortex of souls swirling beneath you. So how do you reveal the mods on your abyssal-infused items?
You drag it
Obviously,
in.
just throw them in, right? Yes, that's exactly what you do. Before throwing it in, you are given the option of how you want to transform it, in the form of a choice of 3 different modifiers.
Yes, that's what we
Once
like.
you've chosen your desired mod, throw it in, where it will absorb the power of the souls, and the ominous creature will then retrieve it for you. These modifiers can be ones from the core mod pool, all the way through to specialized modifiers that cannot normally appear on items. During the campaign, you can use it as a way to more easily add useful existing mods,
they've
but during the
cooked.
endgame,
Absolutely
there's a whole
cooked.
set of new and powerful mods you can add to your items. Like this mod for crossbows, that allows you to place an additional ballista totem. Or this one that adds spirit to your staff.
Yeah, they've cooked it, yeah.
Or this one that allows you to generate more combo with your quarterstaff skills.
Oh.
And speaking of endgame, you can also use the system to craft waystones. With a preserved vertebrae fused into your waystones, you
Oh,
can get
that's
some new
good.
modifiers that push difficulty and rewards to new heights. Here are some examples of those mods.
Oh,
You
mana
always get a
siphoning.
choice of 3, so you can avoid anything you don't think your character is capable of. With this modifier, the natural inhabitants of the area are all spawned near abysses, and there are up to 9 additional abyssal pits in the area, making it just a full-on abyss ruckus.
That's Monk.
Or
Did you
this
see
one,
that?
which
Did you
causes
see
the final
that?
abyssal pit in the area to always result in a boss encounter, be it either one underground or one that emerges out.
Look at it.
There are dozens of these waystone modifiers in total you can get from this crafting. That covers the new crafting mechanic. So what's left? Well, we talked about how when closing pits you can get abyssal troves. but sometimes when closing an abyss, you'll reveal an underground cavern that leads to the abyssal depths.
Honestly.
After jumping into the depths, you'll find an abyssal city, swarming with legions of the undead. When underground, every single rare abyssal enemy will have an abyssal modifier. And at the end of the dungeon, you'll even find a rare with a more powerful Lichborn modifier. Once you're able
Good mechanic,
to defeat
yeah, I do agree, yeah.
you can also find some nice rewards. Aside from the entire area being valuable due to the abyssal modifiers on the monsters, it has its own specific drops too. One example is a set of lineage supports that can rarely be found in these depths, like Kurgel's Leash. This support empowers
Unholy
both
Might.
you and your minions when you command them, granting unholy might to you both. Another depth-specific outcome is a set of omen-like items that amplify your abyssal crafting. Additionally, we're adding some new socketables that can drop from the abyssal depths. Take
He's
Ornamen's
lucky.
Gaze, which can be socketed into your armor. These are a bit special in that you can only have one equipped at a time, but give some pretty powerful effects. Think of them as almost a unique socketable for your
Crafting omens will be sought after, yeah, 100%.
In the endgame, where you can still find depths, you also start to find a different type of underground chamber. In these areas, you'll find an ancient spire, a device being used by commanders of the
Look at
abyssal
this monk.
factions
Look at the
to
hollow palm
unbreak
strike.
blast into a lightless void. Your goal is simple: kill this commander and destroy the spire. There are 4 bosses in the Abyss League, and there are some pretty cool uniques available from them. An example is this belt, Darkness Enthroned. It has 2 sockets, but hold on, socketables don't work on belts. Well, this belt has a special mod that allows it to count as a different slot for the purpose of socketables. This one, for example, counts as a helmet. I kind of want one that counts as a body armor. I wonder how rare that one is. You can also find this unique jewel,
Look at the
Undying
belts.
Hate. This jewel transforms part of your passive skill tree into an abyssal version, and has multiple depths. The deeper it goes, the more of your passive tree is affected, allowing you to fulfill your fantasy of becoming part
Belts
of
and
Abyssal
PoE
Lich.
one can be built defining. Well, yeah, look at them.
Now the last thing
Mage
that Abyssal
blood.
Commanders can drop is a Finger of the Lich. But what use do you have with a random undead finger? Well, the
Think he
next
knows
time
it.
you return to the Well of Souls, with the finger in your inventory, your character will almost feel compelled. To do what though, you might ask? To jump in. The items you threw in came back more powerful, right?
Oh my God, you
what's
come
the
in.
worst that could happen? Well, you will just have to find that one out for yourself.
Oh.
Along with the introduction of Act 4 and the interlude, we will be adding 25 new in-game maps. These maps will contain all the new monsters and bosses we're adding, improving variety and giving you opportunities to experience the new boss fights many times.
Yeah, but come on, just give us some better
Let's
end
take a
game.
look at some examples. Rock Pools is a map where you explore a shallow rocky coastline, surrounded by coral and filled with sirens. At the end is a giant Goblin King boss, ready to eat sulfite and squish you like a bug.
Nice.
Holton is an Ezomite township which has seen better days. Explore and clear the township to find a gothic, Reaper-like boss, with the ability to manipulate storms
Just need to
and
get rid of
fire
Val.
with both
Val
lightning
Foundry.
and wither you with chaos.
Sucks.
Given some of the new bosses added are a bit more epic, such as the Act boss and final bosses of each interlude part, it would be a bit of a waste to just use them as regular map bosses. Instead, we'll be adding some new mechanics to the Atlas that use them. These start appearing pretty fast into the endgame and will help bridge the gap until you do your pinnacle bosses.
Ah.
In the desert biome, you can encounter a wild sandstorm. 3 maps around the sandstorm contain a device you must activate. Upon doing this, the sandstorm's magic is disrupted, revealing the map inside and allowing you to access it and find the cause. This presents itself in the form of a boss. similar to the existing Citadel bosses. This boss is a Faradin Swordmaster, who has been blessed with the power of a Time Djinn, allowing him to take his swordsmanship to the next level by replicating himself, maneuvering rapidly, and severing the fabric of time itself with his powerful slashes. In the
That's
water
a cool
biome,
fight.
you'll encounter a giant maelstrom, where one of the maps surrounding the water biome connects to it, but the connection is obscured. You must run the maps nearby, hoping to find a beacon, which will remove the maelstrom and reveal the connection to that map. Another example is this Vaal vault in the mountain biome.
Ugh.
But how do we get inside? Running the adjacent maps to it will yield a key, which you can then use to gain access to this vault. Or, you could just trade for one, I guess. Use the key to dispel the powerful force field surrounding it, leading to the Vaal Elite and their rewards inside. These all contain Uber versions of the Act 4 boss, and the bosses at the end of each part of the interlude. And each have their own exclusive drop pool of new lineage supports.
Okay, so that's good.
Which, as Jonathan spoke about
But
earlier,
still
are
maps.
powerful support gems that modify your skills in pretty crazy ways. As an example of a lineage support which can come from the Faradin Swordmaster mentioned earlier, we have Garo Khan's Resolve, which causes your critical strikes to fork, but requires some mobility on your part to properly enable. From the boss sealed in the Vaal Vault, we have Paquate's Pact, which supports your war cries, causing them to inflict massive amounts of corrupted blood at the cost of your own life. Additionally, some maps can now spawn summoning circles, a room resembling an Ezomite henge. Activating this henge will spawn bosses. It's as simple as that. We'll also be making changes to how affixes and waystones work, as the current prefixes equals good, suffixes equals bad iteration isn't quite hitting the mark. We tried something new here in Path of Exile 2, but after seeing the feedback we decided we actually liked what we had in Path of Exile 1 more. Like Path of Exile 1, each affix will now be both difficult and rewarding. Waystone mods now grant an increase to the number of waystones dropped, and an additional specific upside attached to it. This means as you roll your map, they will continue to get more difficult and more rewarding, and allow you to customize the difficulty and rewards of your maps better. For example,
Alright.
the Frostbitten mod, which causes enemies to deal cold damage, also increases the rarity of items dropped as its upside. Whereas the Of Venom suffix modifier, which causes enemies to poison on hit, has
Also
the upside of
increases the pack
granting
size.
increased pack size.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Some maps will end up having a lot of rarity, some a lot of pack size, and others will just have a mixture of everything.
That is a
Due
good
to now
decision,
having
yeah.
more modifiers granting difficulty, we will of course be reducing the difficulty per modifier to account for this. So, that's your Atlas, maps, and waystones, but what about Breach, Ritual, Pinnacle content, and others of the sort? We're making some changes around this too. The first change is that you'll now be able to invest 2 points into your specific League Atlas trees before having to run the Pinnacle content. There will be a specific objective for each type of content which grants you those points. For example, in the case of Delirium, it's simple.
That looks
You just
so
need to
good.
find and kill one of the bosses in a map, Omniphobia or Kosis. The rest of the points for each content come from the Pinnacle content, but we're making some changes to accessibility here too. Currently, access to most Pinnacle content requires the same key at the easiest and most difficult version of the content. This creates a negative feeling where at lower difficulties, instead of wanting to run the content, you're often better off just selling it to someone who can run it at maximum difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
To address
Yo,
this,
no it is, no it
each
is.
content will now drop splinters, which will not form into singular items. Instead of using the singular combined item in the realm gate, you can now just bring your splinters. Upon inserting the splinters into the realm gate, an interface will appear, allowing you to pick your difficulty, and you'll notice each difficulty has a different entry cost.
Alright, that's a good
This
idea.
means if you want to run easier difficulties, it costs less, which also allows you to run this content much sooner into the endgame. Because these encounters now just require splinters, their corresponding Atlas tree no longer affects the difficulty of them, and has been changed to purely affect the content and maps on the Atlas. The Arbiter of Ash works a bit differently. Instead of requiring splinters, he still needs crisis fragments. We now have only 2 difficulties of the Arbiter. The first, requiring the existing fragments obtained from citadels. The second, Uber Arbiter, requires calamity fragments. These come from citadel bosses also, but only once you've allocated the maximum number of points in your boss atlas tree, ensuring those citadels are at their highest difficulty level. Since we're talking about pinnacle content, we also felt that the leveling curve in the late game was a bit too steep. We've smoothed this out a bit so that it's easier to get to the mid-90s. We've also added some new in-game unique items.
Oh, that's
Let's
good then.
take a look at a couple. Thunderfist is a pair of gloves that grants Crackling Palm, a skill which empowers your unarmed attacks.
That is
granting
insane.
the ability to call down the storms themselves on enemies you hit. Put simply, literally every monster you hit with your unarmed
Oh my
skills will be
god, with
struck by
Ice Strike and
powerful
Herald of
lightning.
Thunder. Oh my god, I'm gonna have a
Pair
field
this
day with
with the
this.
aforementioned Hollow Palm technique to embrace your true unarmed prowess in combat.
Because Ice Strike
Another
lunges
unique we're
forward.
adding is Henekura's Sight. Equip this amulet to be granted the power of the Mother of Death herself. This is reflected by granting you a skill called Foresight. While you have Foresight, your dodge roll no longer avoids hits. But instead, being hit while dodge rolling restores you to full life and makes you unable to die for a brief period of time.
Oh, that's cool.
You'll notice when this does occur, a copy of your character appears and takes the full damage. This is you seeing that future, as if you hadn't been wearing the amulet. Ultimately, your in-game experience should be more streamlined. With new content to find, you'll be able to invest in your Atlas trees sooner, engage with pinnacle content faster, have less FOMO running said pinnacle content, reach higher levels easier, and do all of that while finding many new chase endgame items.
Okay.
Talking about finding items is one thing, but what about crafting them?
Here we
We've
go.
taken a step back and looked at some of our crafting systems to make some notable improvements. Let's start with essences, which suffered from an issue where the regular essences were effectively useless and didn't give players the tools or excitement that a crafting system should provide. To alleviate these concerns, essences are being changed in a few ways. Firstly, they're being changed to function like regals and add specific modifiers with specific values, meaning you know exactly what you're going to get.
Okay, that's good.
We found that players were often bottlenecked by regal orbs when crafting in the campaign, so this helps to fill that gap, allowing you to better upgrade your items. For example, this Lesser Essence of Flames, which will be able to add a flat amount of fire damage to your magic martial weapons.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Secondly,
massive.
we're adding many more tiers. That Lesser Essence of Flames, for example, has a regular variant and a greater variant too, adding even more fire damage with each upgrade.
Yeah, much better.
The intention of this is so
needed.
that when you find one early on, you don't worry about holding on to it till later to use on a higher level item. You should feel free to use them as they come to get powerful upgrades during the campaign. Lastly, our highest tier of essences, now called Perfect Essences, will
Granox has just
function like a
gifted
Chaos
50
Orb
subs.
instead of a Regal. So
Alright.
it will replace one of the modifiers on your rare items with the specified mod.
Not to me.
Such as this Perfect Essence of Flames.
Shame.
You'll notice this one doesn't just add flat fire damage like the ones before it. The Perfect Essences often give something a bit different, with some opportunities to be pretty damn powerful. There are many different essences, each with many tiers, covering many of the more core modifiers you'd want on items early on, through to chase specialized ones for in-game. Speaking of in-game, we really wanted to expand our crafting options for late in-game crafting projects. You might have noticed that at in-game, you get way too many transmutes. Wouldn't it be nice if some of those didn't drop, but
Oh, that looked
instead
cool.
you got something a little more powerful? At higher levels, you can now find Greater Orb of Transmutation and Perfect Orb of Transmutation. These can be used on normal items to upgrade them to magic, ensuring that the modifier generated is of a minimum level.
Ah.
This is similar to how you find higher tier items on the ground, but for crafting. These higher tiers will also exist for Orb of Augmentation, Regal Orb, Exalted Orb, and Chaos Orb.
That's good.
Meaning
That
you
is
can
very
get
good.
all of the orbs required to take your item from normal rarity to a fully completed rare with guaranteed high-tier mods.
Yeah, that's good.
On top of these new core crafting currencies, we wanted to make sure there are powerful crafting bases to use them on. Now in endgame, you can start to find exceptional items. These are items that drop at normal rarity and are perfect for your from-scratch crafting projects. They can come with extra quality, up to 30%, or an additional socket to use your crafting socketables in.
Oh my
And
god.
yes,
You
they
can
be
ball them as well.
provided for yet another socket.
Oh my god.
You can also get exceptional unique items. To add even further to your crafting arsenal, we've added a whole suite of new omens to ritual content, and removed some of the more unimpactful ones that weren't being used. Some of the new omens include the Omen of the Ancients, which will cause your next Orb of Chance to not destroy the item, but generate a random unique of the same class. Or
Oh
the
my
Omen
god.
of Sanctification, which is my new favorite. This will cause your next Divine Orb used on a rare item to reroll the values of its modifiers, allowing it to exceed the normal minimum
80
and
to
maximum
120%.
values, raising the ceiling on the new most powerful rare items in the game. This omen will also cause your item to become sanctified. Sanctified items cannot be crafted, just like corrupted ones, so consider carefully when
That
you use
is
this.
insane.
Another is the Omen of Chaotic Monsters, which will cause your next Chaos Orb to reroll all modifiers on a Waystone, allowing you to fix your maps if you get some modifiers that are not feasible for your build.
Yeah, that's...
Besides these
yeah.
examples, there is a huge variety of new omens for you to discover in your ritual encounters.
I hope they have taken this one-shot
With the
chaos
release of
things
Act
out. Yeah, I
4,
hope so as well.
notably taking place in the Kardori Archipelago, you'll be able to now find a new currency item, Henikora's Lock. Henikora, the Kardori goddess of death, has the power of foresight, and is able to see many futures, including the outcome of your next craft. So, imbuing her lock onto an item gives you that same power
Oh
too.
my god.
For example, you'll know whether or not to use an Exalted Orb on your item, as you will know exactly what the outcome is.
That's so good.
With all these new crafting improvements, it's safe to say you're going to be making some epic items, and not necessarily just ones for yourself. So given that, it's time to talk about a massive one. Trade. It's finally here. The moment we've all been
Yeah,
waiting for.
100%.
Fully asynchronous trade. Over the years, the way players trade with each other in Path of Exile 1 has morphed from using the forums, through to the in-game chat, all the way through to using the website. These systems, in all their iterations, work for a while, but with each iteration new problems eventually reveal themselves. Be it requiring you to be in your hideout too much instead of out there killing monsters, or never getting responses from people who are either AFK or just can't be bothered.
No. Or
In order
price
to
fixing.
finally solve this, and this has been a long time coming, we're adding a new system that allows you to buy items from other players without requiring the seller to be present. They can continue farming, killing monsters, AFK as they please, and can even be offline.
That is insane.
With the introduction of
That
King's
is
March
so
in Act
good.
4, you will encounter Ange, assistant to Rog in the Meridian Free Traders Company. Over the last 2 decades or so, since Path of Exile 1's storyline, Faustus has handed down his knowledge and expertise to Ange, and she is now ready to take over his business. If you have a hideout
Golden
unlocked
Ange.
already, you can immediately invite her there. If you don't have a hideout yet, you will need to acquire one. You can do this by completing a quest to defeat one of the bosses inhabiting an island in Act 4, allowing you then to take a slice of it for yourself, making it your new home and base of operations. Once invited to your hideout, she will now serve as operating your currency exchange, but also serve as the figurehead in your new trading empire. So, how does this new system work? In the existing trade system, you would list items for sale in premium stash tabs.
Yep.
And then when someone wanted one, you'd have to take it out for yourself and trade it to them. Now, instead of using those, you can give your items to Ange so she can sell them for you. Each item must have a price set. The prices are set using in-game currency items, such as Exalted Orbs or Chaos Orbs. Once a price is set, other players will be able to find the item by searching for it on the trade website.
Secure item.
Once a desired item has been found, you can hit a button, which will instantly teleport your character in-game to their hideout. Then, you can immediately purchase the item, and while there, if you want, browse their other goods. In
That
case
is
there's a good
good.
deal someone else hasn't
Yeah,
yet
that
discovered.
is good.
You'll notice that as a buyer, on top of the currency the seller set for the price, it also costs gold to purchase an item, as Ange has bills to pay after all. As a seller, you'll immediately receive a notification when an item of yours is sold, and can also see an effect above Ange in your hideout when she has unclaimed currency. Just go talk to her, claim your currency, and continue playing at your leisure. As many people already
Gold transfer
acquired
too,
premium
gold
stash
sync.
tabs for the purpose of the trade system, we wanted to add a way for you to convert your existing tabs to merchants tabs, if you want. You can do that here, on the website,
My
but
account.
only if you purchase those tabs before the release of the Third Edict. To clarify, the existing trade system will remain fully intact, so your premium stash tabs will not lose any of their functionality. We just figured people might want to switch over to this new system.
Yeah, merchant
We
tabs are going to
expect
be
a
so
lot
much
of
better.
feedback around this new system and are looking forward to trying it out with you. As we are not able to test internally with an entire, thriving economy, there will certainly be some kinks to work out. Based on how the system goes, we will be adding it to Path of Exile 1 when ready, so any of the tabs you purchase will also be usable there later. Next up, we're going to be talking about our new supporter packs.
Money, money, money.
Today,
money, money.
we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Justice and Trathan Executioner packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value in points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Justice series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. Claim glory after defeating enemies, or inspire your allies by calling down the Banner of Justice portal. The Sphinx Mystic hideout decoration will identify items for you, displaying them as it does so. This
That's
ancient
cool.
creature has been
That's cool.
presented with many items over the eons, so has some strong expressions to make on the quality of your wares. Become a true warrior, worthy of delivering the justice of the eternal gods, with the Apostle of Justice armor set.
Okay, that looks
This
nice.
armor set also comes with a matching back attachment containing a set of scales to
It is
measure
free
your
game.
worth.
It is a free game though, and they're
With
not
the
forced to buy
Apostle of
spots.
Justice finisher effect equipped, the Goddess of Justice herself will appear to decide
Yeah.
on the verdict for slain unique enemies. Witness as she decides the fate of your slain foes. Will they ascend to be amongst the gods, or be banished to the underworld? The Griffin fledgling pet will be your courageous companion as you journey throughout Rayclast. Take your place in the skies in the Plateau of the Gods hideout.
Yeah, there we go.
This hideout comes with
Oh my
many different
God.
sections for setting up your home or base of operations. In order to travel between them, you simply just need to walk off the edge. Like a true eternal god, you can float between the mountains on the clouds themselves.
Yeah, that's mint.
The Trathan Executioner pack series also contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. The Trathan Executioner finisher effect is a brutal display of Trathan might, crushing slain unique enemies as if they were bugs beneath your heel.
That's cool.
As a Trathan Executioner, you're the perfect master for the ever-hungry carrion raptor pet. It has taken a particular liking to the taste of other pets, and at your command it will swoop down and eviscerate them, proceeding to satisfy its hunger by feeding on their corpse.
Oh my god.
The nobles of the 4 major Trathan houses had their mercenaries, but if their hired hands became notably irritating,
That armor's nice.
they'd have to call in the Trathan Executioners. You can now embrace their methods and become brutality incarnate with the cruel Trathan Executioner armor set. The matching Cruel Trath and Executioner cloak
That is
will
sick.
shroud you in scarlet as you crush the skulls of your enemies and leave a trail of blood behind you as you build up a kill streak. Or use the alternate variant to simply put a skeleton on your back. Be bathed in blood as you mutilate monsters with the Cruel Trath and Executioner character effect. The swirling blood increases in volume as your spree of slaughter continues. Both this effect and the cloak use the same kill streak for tracking how much blood is shown. After a long and tiring day of executions, enjoy a relaxing game of dice with the Goblin Gambler's Hideout decoration. They'll definitely be playing fair, right? The Pulverizer map device brings a horrid efficiency to punishing the damned of Trathus.
What the hell?
Each map you open will execute the next victims.
That's amazing.
This map device in its true ruthlessness tracks the total number of monsters killed, your kills per second, and your largest kill streak up to the point of the map being completed.
Oh, that's
This is then
cool.
displayed on a leaderboard so you can take a measure of you and your friends' violence at the end of each map.
That's very cool. I like that one as well, yeah.
Any microtransactions from the supporter packs will be made available for use in Path of Exile 1. That's enough about cosmetics. Let's get into the Q&A. But firstly, I want to give a huge thank you for your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, at 11 AM NZ time, or 4 PM Pacific, we'll post Path of Exile 2, the Third Edict's patch notes. With the release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you need for the release. Keep an eye on the news. Thanks for joining us today and checking out our latest developments. We're looking forward to seeing your experiences with Act 4 and its new bosses, fighting the Abyssal, trying new builds, and crafting new items. We'll begin the Q&A shortly, so please get your questions ready.
Is the Q&A now? So, yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I think they've done very, very well. The monk skill, the hand to hand. Oh,
After a absolutely monumental reveal, we now have a suitably juicy Q&A session for you.
can you hear it?
Probably like 2 hours or something. So grab a cuppa, grab a snack, and settle in. I'm joined once again by Jonathan and Mark to discuss a lot. The patch that had to fix all the things, right?
That was the goal. I mean, we didn't quite get to literally everything, but we certainly managed to do a lot of things that we were very keen to do.
Yeah, you guys were telling me that this was uniquely nerve-wracking for you because there was, I guess it felt like there was a lot of pressure on
Yeah,
this
that's
one.
our
So
audio
it's
message.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we've obviously got a lot to prove. You know, we need to make sure that we're like that. Well, put it this way: I wouldn't want people to feel like we that we don't have answers to a lot of the things that people have been unhappy about. So, you know, like we really tried to do as much as we could in one go to kind of do everything. As I said, didn't get to literally everything, but we got to quite a lot of it, and I'm thinking that people will be a lot happier with this release than they were with the last one.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked to see how much was in this one, especially given that you've moved to this kind of like 4 and 2 cycle of, you know, you just feels like you just released the Path of Exile 1 expansion, which also had a lot of pressure on it to be a big one as well.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, it's certainly hard. I mean, look, the really hard part is, you know, having to make an act at the same time. Like that's a really huge
So you've been there
commitment.
since day one.
So I'm certainly going to be happy once we finish the campaign because we're going to be back to normalcy again. But yeah, it's a like, you know, what it does do is it means that there's like a huge amount of content to draw from.
Why have they not
There's
got
obviously a huge amount for players who, you know, are not necessarily the in-game players as well, because you've got all of the, you know, the new campaign stuff. So it's like a pretty big deal for all that stuff. But it also meant we could take a bunch of that stuff and move it into the end game too. So the end game kind of sees a big expansion as well.
Ah, there we go.
So yeah, it's been quite a good one.
Yeah, I remember early on we had the process. Actually, we just literally grabbed my whiteboard in my office and we just wrote down every single problem.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's not a strategy we've done to this degree, this methodically before.
Right,
where
right.
we were like, okay, we have to solve everything on this whiteboard.
Literally
And-
made a tier.
I got
list
mine
of,
right.
like,
Yeah,
this is
we had a
T1, this is
tier list.
T2.
We did
like,
actually fully
yeah.
of every problem, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know there were things in there like, you know, performance and things that aren't
Yeah.
necessarily the actual, you know, game content. And
I mean,
all
the
this kind of
very
stuff.
the very one at the top of the list was, you know, campaign is a slog, right? Like that was the one
Yeah.
that we were like, you know, we've got to
The
solve
word.
that. So things like that were just like because we're really trying to be honest about like here are the real issues.
And the reason it ends up being a bit nerve-wracking is because we had a goal to fix all of it, and we didn't get to fix. We aren't fixing literally everything. We're fixing almost a lot. And I'm sure a few new problems introduced here and there. However,
obviously, as we're watching Twitch chat, there was a huge amount of stuff about towers. We had a plan; it was on the list. It just unfortunately we couldn't get time to sort it. So that's it's probably the notable one, I would say.
Yeah, so we'll kind of discuss around your vision and stuff for Endgame soon as well, so that you can give people some reassurance about like where you want to go with that. But we should also mention just the other elephant in the room, or the lack of the elephant in the room, with the druid. No elephant form, but the joke kind of works. So it seemed that druid has been uniquely challenging to get shipped. It's been something you've been working on for a while now.
Yeah, the druid is.
Right. What has been
what
the
have they been
challenge
doing?
with the druid and getting it out?
Well, I mean, okay, so we started believing that we were going to have druid in this version. And that was the case for at least 2 months of the 4 months of development that we were that we had here. And obviously, there's a bunch of work
And they're already there
as well. But at some point, we realized, like, that we don't want to have
They're already there,
the
look.
mistake that we effectively had with 020, where like we put a huge amount of effort into the class and then we didn't get time to fix like all of the concerns that people had outside of that, right? Because obviously the same
I don't really
resources
mind
making a new class
the
has
new
got to
classes
balance in
because
the old ones
these
and make all that
reworks are
stuff, right?
massive.
So if we
Yeah,
don't have the balance in like a
100%.
good place, it kind of feels a bit bad to like be throwing in a class.
Can you hear me
that's
all right?
effectively
Yeah,
disrupting
it's
that.
audio good and
So
stuff,
then
yeah?
what that meant was at some point we're like, okay, since we don't believe we can get both
How does this
we're
look?
gonna
Like I play
make
Path
it
of
at the
Exile and
same
then we
time.
have this
It's
with
actually better to
background.
cut
Have
the
a look.
class
Yeah.
and then
Sound
have
good?
the balance changes instead. So that's what we ended up doing, and obviously
Oh, I
it's like
might.
a really hard thing to cut because obviously like you're going to have another one without a class. Like it feels really
I
terrible.
might buy that.
But
$90.
we've got the philosophy now of like we have to make sure that we're in the release month that we say we're going to be in. So therefore,
£71.
Unfortunately, that was it. But it means we've obviously got a huge head start for
£71.
Do it next time. And I mean, look, there was so much stuff that was cut. Like even as large as it is, like there's like ascendancies and all sorts of stuff that was gonna be there, and we'll get to it. But more important to just make sure that people are happy with the stuff that's in, and make sure all those changes are great, and make sure obviously you've got answers for stuff, right?
I imagine for druid, it's a big part of it's just the fact that the shape shifting, getting it looking and feeling. Right,
No, I mean,
That is
a huge
insane,
deal.
71 quid.
It's hard. Like there's so much animation stuff that has to go into making each form feel right. So that. But we'll get there. Like I don't think we're that far away from it now. So it's just a question of prioritization.
Yeah, it seems like it is probably the hardest class of all. Then
might be. Yeah.
I think it will be.
I think I might.
Be more ambitious as you go with each
That is
class
true.
too.
I think I might buy it. Yeah, it's only money. You can't take it with you. I know because I tried 2 years ago when I went into cardiac arrest. Oh damn! What first thing you did was grab your money.
Is it kind of a race between them to see who?
I'm glad you're okay now.
Well, I've
Glad
always
you're
said
okay
that
now.
it would be criminal to go into full release without having swords. So that's
Yes.
that's
It's
kind
a
of a
little
pretty
bit
glaring.
it's a little bit criminal to get this far without.
Yeah,
having
to be
to-
honest, it is. Yeah. So I'd say
It
that
is
would be.
weird when you
Well, what do you
yeah,
get in
it's
this one?
real
Cruel.
It is real weird.
So that would be an obvious candidate. Is making sure that we've got
so
that.
that
going on.
people can infer from that some sort of duelist or something, most likely being the sword one. And as you said, the ascendancies are just kind of the same boat as they weren't. You weren't satisfied with where they were at.
Pulverize a map
So that's the
device.
things you missed, but that's like the list of the things.
Yeah,
you missed.
look.
That and-
Right.
Yeah,
and,
that
doing
doesn't.
something with towers.
So that one has the pulverizer map device. That one doesn't.
We'll jump
That's
into
cool
Endgame
though.
first, since I know the towers and stuff have been a hot topic for people. So
Oh, end game.
we'll talk about the endgame. This wasn't ostensibly supposed to be an endgame update, from what you were telling me, but it still seems like a pretty big endgame update in the end.
Yeah, I mean, well, part of that is because we obviously get all the content that we produced for the campaign. We get to make all the endgame versions of that.
Yeah.
That obviously adds quite a lot, but we did want to make sure that we weren't just being like, okay, so we're adding
No,
a
is
bunch
it
of
doing for you?
bosses. Like, we
Gonna
want to make sure
skip
that
channels.
the more epic ones that we added to the campaign
Doesn't matter, I like
have
to
some
see this.
some new mechanic for them on the
As
Atlas as
it's
well. So that's where we
often
had
reveals
those
little
various
snippets
mechanics
to
with, like the
feedback
sandstorm
later.
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, those kind of like Atlas events. And it really does contribute to the feeling of exploration to have more of that stuff. And then, of course, once you've got that, you can start getting into, okay, well, what rewards is it going to
What does
drop?
that say?
There's
Gonna
we
skip
need a new
channels
category of rewards
as
that these things can
more
have, and that's, we start to
as
think about
I
the linear
like
supports and that kind of
to see
stuff.
this,
So
as
it just
often
ended up
reveals
kind
little
of
snippets
adding
to
up to
feedback
quite a
later.
bit in the end.
All right, no
But,
idea, no
it
idea.
isn't like kind of like the big end game change that we
Yeah.
wanted to do. Like we had a design for that, but we just kind of haven't quite got to it. So, but it still ends up being quite a lot. And one of the big things that it also I think will help bridge is the kind of mid end game part. You know, like that's still a problem that we want to improve. But yeah, like it adds quite a lot there because you're seeing that stuff on the Atlas a bit earlier.
What's the problem there as you identify it?
I mean, you've got this issue where effectively, and we are doing some stuff to address this, but effectively you've got like the pinnacles at the end, and you've got like obviously when you start you've got a bunch of content, but it doesn't feel like there's those kind of mid-end game goals that you can easily achieve. That's kind of the issue that we're trying to solve.
And just a lack of direction, right?
Right.
I think there's not enough like really guiding you. Like the narrative kind of falls apart there, right? Because it's just like open world, and you want a bit more of you know telling you where to go, what to do, have those goals where you're like I want to do this next and this next, as opposed to like I could do this or this or this. It's nice to have those, but it's nice to also have the things kind of directing you as to like this is exactly what I want to do. The boss I want to get to. So there's kind of just a big gap there. We want to add a whole bunch of stuff in the middle there. We have a huge plan, but again, it's like we need to you got this working on a campaign, you've got working on the end game, and you got all these like how do you juggle all of these things? It is brutally difficult, and you end up having to think. So I would expect, you know, next expansion to be way more endgame centric in terms of fixing all of this, because you know it was on the whiteboard.
But we did do some stuff with what we had. So like that splinter change, I think, is going to be quite a big one. Like it doesn't look like much from what we showed, but what it does mean is that you've got
my
pinnacle
GPU's
fights
at
earlier
28 degrees.
In the experience.
How am I playing a game when my GPU's at 28
making
degrees?
it make more sense with regard to the difficulty, the access to the different difficulties, by having it so that it's cheaper to get to the lower tier ones. So that helps quite a lot, and I think that'll improve things quite a lot even just from that. So yeah,
and
like
of course you've got the league now in endgame as well.
And of course there's a league there too.
You know, the Wisps were Wisps. Sure, wasn't really a league. It's kind of just like
not a full-fledged
not what we've done
mechanic.
before. And a lot of people in PoE2 may not really even know what a league is. I mean,
absolutely
can't
buzzing
handle
for
the
this.
hunt, but yeah, I mean, having Abyss in every single area. There are abyssal icons you can find on the map. You can't add them because they are in every area. The Abyss. So, and you have different the waystone crafting and stuff like that. So there's a lot of in-game just added by the league's existence as well.
Plus a lot more combination of the league mechanic with other mechanics as well, which is something that I'm always keen for with leagues, is like have a bit more interaction.
Yeah,
So,
you were telling me that you had specifically made it so that Abyss would have specific interactions with basically everything else.
for sure.
Like if a Rogue Exile's standing there, you get a special boss based on
Yeah,
Rogue
that's cool.
Exile,
That's
so
cool.
That's rather interesting.
Oh, I forgot Road
stuff.
Exiles are coming in here next,
It's
aren't they?
interesting because this is a league mechanic. It's in every zone. It's guaranteed. That's part of a league mechanic. But does this also have like Atlas tree integration in the way that it would later on as it becomes like a core element?
No, not the way that's kind of handled is through some of the waystone crafting.
Yeah.
We depending when the league ends, we obviously do the whole again more for people who maybe don't know what a league is and how we handle this stuff in PoE1. I'll over-explain it a little bit, but yeah, generally we review the state of it at the end. We see what changes we want to make. Sometimes we add it to the core game immediately, sometimes later, and then we add it to the tree and decide how we want to invest into all the different things. But we try and have the meta progression, so to speak, of a league within the leagues itself, and not connected to the core tree, because you could have a separate tree. It is a thing you could do. But in this case, it comes in the form of the waystone crafting.
You did an experiment with that recently in Path of Exile 1, doing that in a league, and you didn't exactly like the result.
Because it's not a
massive,
separate tree, and that was during Necropolis, yes, and it felt like because it's in every area, you have to take it.
Yes, exactly.
So that didn't work. We're not going to repeat that mistake. It could be a separate tree, but I just did it through the waystone crafting stuff instead, and you can invest in the Abyss and juice the Abyss that way. And
I mean, we'll see how we fold it all in as we go into the 040 though. Like, that'll be an interesting one.
All right. Well, one of the kind of endgame issues that I've identified in the past was kind of how the Atlas trees worked and progressed and what they afforded, and it felt very top heavy. Like you had to beat the boss to get points to just scale.
Well, that's what I'm talking about with the lack of mid-game stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's changed now though. Like the league mechanics don't scale difficulty of bosses at all. They're just about what the content is in maps.
Yeah,
right?
and you get the points way earlier. So, in fact, you
some of them, we made some changes to that actually as well since last night, and thus it wasn't in the live stream accurately. It was talking about how you have to complete specific objectives like killing the Delirium boss and whatnot to get your points. It's actually just now you follow the quest line, and there's a point in where you get the tablet, which is after you find the league and you kill the, just do a Delirium. You successfully go back and get a tablet. You're also going to get the first 2 points there. Now I wanted to change it so that you can get if we have 8 points, you get 4 points before the pinnacles and 4 points from the pinnacles. Right now it's 2 and 6. We're still looking at this just because we made a change last night. There's a good chance we might end up, adapting this a little bit more. So it's even the first 2 points come even sooner and even more obviously. Like you don't have to RNG into finding a boss in order to get those first 2 points now, which was mentioned there. No longer going to be the case.
But we just want to really make sure we're smoothing that progression through, getting that stuff earlier, all that sort of stuff.
So the other thing, was you've got this kind of world map. It seems to be exploration focused.
That's good.
Recent updates you did in Daughter of the Hunt actually I felt were a big step forwards in that regard. There was a lot more exploration with the new unique maps, and even towers. I felt like when you're using them as an exploration feature, work quite well. Like they leapfrog you to your next. You see that next unique map over the hills, and that's like a cool motivator that pulls you through, and that helps with that mid game issue you were talking about. Is that kind of the goal? Is to make this like a really exploration focused?
It's certainly something that I really love, and the more things you add to the Atlas, the more it feels like you're finding things. But yeah, so we definitely appreciate the concern with towers being that you've got this tension between having to turtle in one location versus explore. Yeah. And so that's something that we need to look into addressing. But I don't want to kind of talk explicitly about exactly what we're going to do here, just because there's obviously a lot in flux there still. But yeah, it's something that we understand the problem, I would say. I would understand that there's an issue, and so yeah, we will be addressing that a bit later.
Yes, the brand name of towers seems somewhat marred currently. Like it seems like almost no matter what you do with them, there's going to be some sort of maybe just delete towers because we have the bad association with it.
That is a concern, but I suspect that we'll still want to keep them at least for just vision. Like even if we remove the mechanic and do other stuff, we'll just keep them there. So I still think it's fun to just find a tower just to get a circle of vision around it. So I don't think that's the part that people are unhappy about with them. So therefore, it'd be fine to keep that and move other power sources and other things that you can do somewhere else.
And I even like the empowering the maps because that is an element of control, which is another thing people.
Well, I mean, I still want something that does that. I just think that it needs to work differently than how it works.
Yeah, so, I guess the issue seems to come down to, from what I see, and maybe chat might have other things that they mention about their issues with towers, but the issue, as I see it, is about that feeling that you still need to be stacking tower mechanics on top of other stuff, and if you're not kind of bringing all those things together, then it feels like you're wasting time.
My fundamental issue with them is the way that you know that something sucks before you even run it, and that's always bad.
Yeah.
Effectively, it's if you're running maps that don't have a tower around them, you're like, okay, well, I know this is bad, or and so I feel bad because I just have to get to the next tower, and then when you've done one tower, but you know that two tower overlapping is a thing, then you're like, okay, well, I feel bad running a one tower overlap thing when I know that two tower stuff is a thing as well. So there's just this problem of that it sucks beforehand, and I think that's never a good thing. It's actually the opposite of the action RPG philosophy of the reason you have random drops is because any monster could be the one that drops the next thing.
Exactly.
And if you don't have that, then it's you feel bad for playing the content because you know it's not the best already. So you need that random element more. So there needs to be some adjustment to make that
right. What do we want?
Yeah. Do you think that's bringing up what the base map experience can be in terms of its upper potential, adding more interesting confluence of variants?
I mean, look, I always like more interesting combinations of stuff to happen, but I don't necessarily think that the core problem is lack of ability to juice things. I think the core problem is to do with the fact that you don't when it already sucks, as I said. It's just kind of that thing there. So we need to sort of there will need to be some approach to solving making it more controllable, more deterministic in some way, just something along those lines, so that you can so that you don't have this feeling of because of because of a thing I can already see that sucks, that this experience is going to be worse than what I'm hoping for.
So somewhat related to this, another thing I see brought up all the time is being able to kind of choose what map you're doing and just being able to exert more elements of control. I saw a post in chat just there that was the idea of being able to kind of erect a tower where you want it.
That's
rather is this element of being able to choose your maps a little bit more, or have a bit more influence on what's happening.
So I think having control over what content is there is good, but I don't know that I want to lose the fact that you still have the Atlas fundamentally where you the actual map areas you get are random, and part of the reason for that is that it gives us a lot of opportunities to do interesting things with different maps can have different things that they drop and other stuff like that. There's a lot of that sort of stuff that's quite nice. You can actually have a unique map be way more powerful if it's kind of you don't know exactly when you'll encounter it. So that kind of stuff is quite nice, and we want to do a lot more as well on the Atlas, just more stuff to find. we get to 040, I really want it to be that, like, you know, you really feel like there's just cool stuff in every map that you might be finding that's like, you know, that's way more interesting. And as I said, that stuff, the problem is if you have full control over literally being able to run the same map every single time, like the same like base area, it means that you don't have the ability to say, okay, well, this map can randomly have this thing that's just like really awesome that, you know, always drops a unique or something like that, because then you're just going to run that map over and over and over. So I still like some ability to have to find the good stuff in the Atlas, but we just need more control over what mechanics you can spawn there and that kind of stuff, and like not having the experience of like, if I didn't get this exact overlap, then I have this bad experience.
And that's where exploration actually comes from as well, is having some element of not having that control as well. So maybe it is
upgrade
the
your
case more
now.
of just
you can do
keeping, like, juicing up that exploration aspect of it even more. Anyway, that's what it already felt like a big improvement with that last one, and we're getting the new maps and the new mechanics and things scattered in the zones as well. So it seems like there's a fair bit more going on.
The main point, like, we did what we could, 100%. And you know, 040 expect a lot more improvements there. But again, we focus more on everything else. There's a, you know, an insane amount of content there. You know, it's we wish Towers was in that list, but it will be. Don't worry. These things are coming. We're aware of the problems. We are aware, like 100%. You know, it was expected when we got to that section to see a bunch of.
And I think a lot of people are going to be getting a chance to experience some stuff they didn't experience because it came later in last league, and maybe they had tapped out before then. So there's a good bit of extra stuff to explore there, maybe with this one. We'll loop back around to endgame if people have more questions that they post and that we pull from the chat. But we'll move on to the Act 4 and the interludes, because that's a pretty big thing. Obviously, getting rid of Cruel was a priority. You wanted to do that as soon as possible. There's been this problem that you were laboring over for many months about how to do that, how to add Act 4 without having to add the rest of the acts all at once, or do some weird
big map
thing. Well, you've come up with making more acts to solve the problem instead of
So there was certainly some skepticism when I first proposed this about like how can we possibly do that? But basically, the main thing there was that. Like, okay, so the interludes are not exactly the same as an act in terms of, like, you know, like each one of them is like, you know, a straight line, like you're going from here to here. There's no, like, you know, like different, there's no complexity around the plot or anything. It's just like a single goal of, like, you know, someone's telling you to do this, go deal with it. There's bosses along the way, you know, there's new areas along the way, but all of that stuff we can use in endgame as well. So that means we're not kind of wasting any of the arts. The only thing we're really wasting is like a kind of like a you know,
my game's
little bit of like storyline structure around it. But as I said, it's not nearly the same level of like narrative structure as what you get in like a full act. And that's something that and ultimately what we realize is to get from the end of Act 4 to the end game level, all you need is like 20 areas roughly to kind of to bridge that gap. And so that means that I was like, you know what, like with like 20 areas, I reckon we can do it if we're like, you know, we're using a few mechanics from maps, we're taking some, you know, we're doing a lot of art reuse, that kind of stuff. Like we can find a way to make something pretty quick, and it won't necessarily hold up for like years and years, but it will certainly be good enough for you know, just like for a relatively short period of time. And by the time you get to that point anyway, like you're usually pretty fast as a character. You're like rushing through you know, just to get to end game. So I think that that'll end up being
honestly,
pretty damn good for the time being. Plus, you know, new bosses, new stuff to experience. Like you know, in my opinion, it was a no-brainer to do it, compared to some weird thing like having to repeat Act 1 and 2 again or something weird like that. Like that just wouldn't have been good.
Awesome.
And we really wanted to get rid of Cruel. I mean, like, we never wanted Cruel to exist, right? It existed as a compromise. So being able to get rid of it is obviously, you know, something we were very, very keen to do.
There was something you know, you get to the Act 1 Crawl and you're like, I've know all this content, you're ultra powerful, and that's a little bit feel good, and then you're like, doing all this again.
You hate
you know,
it.
it's just a little bit like, just, you know, you can do it. You know, at that point you're like, just get me to end game, like you know. Whereas when you're playing through, you know, the new acts, like it feels, well, with Act 4 and the interlude, it feels just a lot more natural and you know, still fun, and you're discovering stuff, and you know, it's not that just like
it's going to make you go through campaign a lot faster.
At least for fast players as well, they're going to be like, oh my god, I just did this like a few hours ago. You know, it's like just too short of a time. Where but one thing about Act 4 and the interlude, by the way, which I think is really cool, which is very different, and something, you know, you don't really appreciate until you play, is you get to Act 4 and you're like, okay, where do I go? Well, I have many places I can pick. I mean, Jonathan was talking about how they're kind of interludes are kind of straight lines, but there's 3 of them.
But there's 3 of them. You can do them in any order.
There's a choice immediately there, right?
You can do those in
Yep,
any
you
order.
do them in any
You
order.
can do them in any
Huh?
order. When you
Didn't know
complete one or partially complete one, it levels up the other 2. They always stay, ahead, and they bridge the
Wow,
gap, so you can do them in whatever order you want.
It'll be interesting to see
Like,
the
is it
speedrunning
glitched?
strategies because there's different
Yes.
bonuses available.
Oh,
The spirit draft
Sticking
comes
its
from
time.
1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where another might be more passive point heavy and another might be more permanent bonus heavy, and another,
Okay.
like, there's going to be all kinds of crazy stuff going on there. So you go in Act 4 where you've got full freedom of like choice of which island you want to sail to, and then you go into the interlude and you're like, which part would serve me best? And maybe the answer is do a couple areas of this part
Yeah.
and then swap to another and do that one, and then who knows? Which is fine because again, as you progress through them and defeat the bosses, the other ones will level up and keep up with the level. So you can do half of each and then do the half of each again. You can do an area of each, and then
That's wild. I didn't realize the interludes were sandboxy like that because I was planning on asking about how the fact that Act 4 is like a sandbox.
Yeah,
for,
that was good.
a great portion of it there, and that's going to be super interesting from like racing and speedrunning perspective as to what people take. But also that does seem like it might help with the campaign slog. The repetitiveness of it if you can kind of do things in a different order each time. Is there some good reasons to do it in different orders as well? Like you mentioned, like differences in rewards, differences in challenges too, I imagine, for different builds?
Yeah, for sure. So, like the reward thing is probably the main reason you change the order, depending on what's going to work best for your character right now. So, yeah, each one has got stuff that like we're taking all the different fixed bonuses. I think that actually the fixed bonuses are different a little bit now, aren't they, than the way that they were when they were in Crawl? Did you change what the stats they were? I thought you did.
The passive point number is the same.
Yeah.
The spirit is the same, but the other bonuses, we've kept we'll still have the resistances that you got before, but some of the other bonuses from for example, Crawls, the snake in Act 3, I can't remember the name of these areas. We have internal names, the old snake chamber. The reward from that will be slightly different because not all 3 of those options are available. And they're available in different ways. Some of it might be, some of it might not be, and some of it will be in Act 4, some of it might be in the interlude, So it's kind of mix and match all over the place. But there's some pretty cool stuff in the interludes that, that you've obviously got your permanent bonuses, you've got your skill points, you've got just like which bosses do I want to do first or last. That's all nice, but you have a little other things subtle. Like the first area of one of them, I'm not going to be as spoiler light as possible here, has a wandering vendor that sells, guaranteed rare caster gear, and you can go and be like, I'm going to go there, check that if I'm a caster, and then I'll go to the other 2 acts because that might have like a straight up weapon upgrade. And then there's another act that sells a whole bunch of greater runes, and so you might be like, I need some runes, I'm going to go there, find that vendor, get some runes, and then go to another. And then one of them has and you're going to have to find this for yourself, one of them has a nameless seer in it, and so go for it, find that. And I'm not going to tell you which.
So do you know in advance some of these rewards so that you can make this decision? Like maybe not those kind of secret ones, but
I think it doesn't. Does it say it does it show it to you on the world map?
You generally see the icons on the world map up to the point your character and the NPCs could reasonably know about.
Alchemist mark.
So it depends on the act a little bit. In some cases, it's like no humans have been there, so you can't know until you've opened it, and then it will, or until you have been told about it or know about it or advanced the quest, and now you see all the icons. So some yes, some not, and
it'll be a bit of a discovery process.
But like, look, it's
Getting
gonna
it for
players are going to share information pretty damn quickly. But yeah, it's actually quite fun having all this different choice and different axes, and we haven't had this level of like, sure, you've got Path of Exile 1 Act 2
Oh my god,
go
why am I
left or go
getting
right,
absolutely owned?
and you got a little bit of that in like Act 8, but you don't get this much like parallel things going on like this in a kind of interesting way. So it'll be, I suspect it'll actually last a little bit longer than we anticipate, given how we had to put this kind of 3-part thing together so quickly.
Last a bit longer in terms of like players finding it fresh and interesting.
That's the hope.
Okay.
The all 3 interludes kind of appear on one world map, so you kind of got 3 parallel tracks you can see on one map.
Cool.
So yeah, that's how that works.
It's cool.
Decision paralysis is going to set in. Where do I go?
It's only
I think a lot of people just pick one just because it's the first one.
Yeah.
I bet that'll be the most common choice.
Good job, I leveled up.
Sure,
Yeah.
oh yeah, 60% pick rate for the first option.
Realdish one.
Left to right's most likely.
It makes sense.
The order of the islands in Act 4 a little bit less predictable.
Yeah.
You know, one of those islands, like, you know, there's four permanent bonuses kind of going on in one area kind of thing. It's like a, you know, because
Go there first.
I'm not going to tell you which ones, but
Okay, I'll have to figure that one out, eh?
someone will do it, figure it out.
Yeah. Make the progression guides. But I like the idea that it could be different for different builds too. That would be very cool if that ends up being the outcome, because that will keep things fresh long term.
Yeah, it's full.
There's a good
Let's
reason to
go.
do it differently and doesn't just get kind of immediately solved.
Yeah.
So Act 4 was planned to have a new way of ascending, but that wasn't mentioned here, so it's not quite ready yet.
Didn't quite get time for it. It'll be coming a bit later. But you can there's still a quest to go to the place where that is happening. But and we added like a kind of another reward there, you know, just for the time being.
Yeah.
But yeah, later on there'll be that. The amount of work required to make that trial just unfortunately wasn't quite compatible with making all of the other stuff we made. Probably if we hadn't made the interlude, we would have been able to do it. But I think the interlude was more important just to get rid of Cruel. So yeah, we ended up making that decision.
Yeah.
But we'll get to it.
Thank goodness. I'm like so stoked Cruel's gone.
If it's what most of us imagine it's going to be, I can imagine where a lot of that work comes in. So hopefully you guys, is it something that you'd like to get ready for next league then, it sounds like?
Well, I don't want to promise anything because at this point we're in the mode of like we'll cut stuff if we need to make the release happen. So I wouldn't want to promise anything, but you know, that would be nice. We'll just have to see.
I guess the other question then is, do you think it'll be like different enough and appealing to people who don't necessily want to ascend the other ways?
Well, it's certainly
Let's
different
have
than
a
the other
watch of
ones
this,
by a very significant margin. So yeah, like I think that'll be interesting.
And what's the vision for how Ascendancy works long term then? So is it the idea that you ascend once in Act 2, and then again in Act 3, and then again in Act 4?
I mean, you will be able to do
6
it that
points
way, but if
that
you
way?
want to do other, I mean, yeah, that's a way to do it. But if you want to, you know, just if you like a certain trial better, doing it that way is also fine too.
It's just interesting because there's like not as much of a gap as there usually
no,
is.
if you
between
was
those
watching
first
it now,
ones that way,
it's
like
just
quite rapid
2000.
fire. So and then it would be a big gap until the end game, and you do your choice of fourth one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we see that as fine. Like you kind of want to get your build locked in to some degree by the time you get to that sort of level.
I kind of like it. It's just different to how it's been done in the past before, right? Where we had, whereas like right at end game you did that third one. So that's interesting stuff. So a big part of this obviously is then continuing the campaign slog kind of discussion was just the speed of the campaign, how that tied in with difficulty, zone sizes and things like that. You guys did a whole bunch of big changes a couple weeks into the last league where you reduced zone sizes.
So we did a bit of that. That's one of those things that's a bit hard to see exactly until you've played it a couple of times. So I like, for example, right now, like, you know, the first time you play through Act 4, I doubt you'll be worried about zone size. Second time, then it might then start to realize like what places are too big and what places aren't. So there'll probably be a little bit of adjustment to that even as we do the first couple of patches in 030 as well. Just because, like as I said, it's actually a bit hard to appreciate until you've kind of played it a few times. But the sprint helps a lot. Like sprint is a big deal as far as like changing how the game feels in this regard. So you know, if you're fast and you know how to use it well and that kind of stuff, you can motor quite a lot more than you were.
Right. What I'm going to do
actually
actually
sort of see
is
how many people are using that all the time versus how many people are.
I'm going to come off.
using
I'm
it
going to watch
time.
this.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, you're an
I'll be back on
experienced
tomorrow
PoE
with
player,
some
right? Like you're gonna
normal
you're gonna
Path of
be-
Exile.
Like there's
PoE1.
a fun risk reward to using it that way.
yeah.
Though. Like if you are just using
GGG.
it reverse or like backtrack or something, you go the wrong way or something.
Well
like
done.
that, then
Well done. Well done.
it's pretty
Catch you all in a
cruisy.
bit.
It works well for that.
Peace.
It also is a very powerful like combat tool.